answer whether you can still use your old vehicles in 2025, it's important to analyze current and future developments in the automotive world. These changes primarily involve environmental regulations, technological advancements, and the economic strategies of car manufacturers. This topic is critical because it directly impacts owners of used vehicles, a predominant market in countries like Cameroon, where the majority of cars on the road are secondhand. So, what does 2025 hold for our old vehicles? Let's break it all down in this video. Stricter emission regulations. Firstly, emission standards are becoming increasingly stringent. In many regions, particularly in Europe and North America, laws like the Euro 7 standards impose severe limits on emissions from internal combustion vehicles. These regulations may render some older models non-compliant, even with repairs or modifications. As a result, governments are planning to restrict their use in major cities, which could directly affect their resale value and practicality. However, the situation varies greatly across regions. For instance, in many African countries, including Cameroon, emission laws are not yet very strict. This gives owners of older vehicles significant leeway. Nonetheless, it's important to note that hybrid and electric vehicles are increasingly being imported, and governments may encourage their adoption in the coming years. Thus, even in less regulated markets, internal combustion vehicles could gradually become obsolete in the long term. Fuel evolution and compatibility. Another crucial aspect is the evolution of fuels. By 2025, many countries are shifting toward synthetic fuels or more eco-friendly biofuels. However, these alternatives are often more expensive and not always compatible with older engines. This could pose a challenge for owners of vehicles designed exclusively for traditional gasoline or diesel. In short, even if local regulations still allow their use, accessing compatible fuels may become a logistical and financial challenge. Solutions for prolonging vehicle life. There are solutions to extend the life of old vehicles. Technologies like engine conversion kits can make a vehicle more environmentally friendly. For instance, a liquefied petroleum gas conversion kit can transform a combustion engine into a less polluting version. Although these solutions may require significant upfront costs, they could be a smart investment for those looking to keep their old vehicles running in 2025 and beyond. Economic impacts. Economically, car manufacturers continue to promote newer, more environmentally friendly models in 2025. This strategy, driven by global emission reduction goals, encourages governments to offer subsidies for purchasing new, often electric cars. This trend could create an imbalance in the market. Older vehicles, though still functional, may lose value more rapidly. In this context, owners of old vehicles will need to weigh the cost of repairs and technical upgrades against the opportunity to buy a more modern model. Urban infrastructure adaptation. Another point to consider is the adaptation of urban infrastructures. Cities worldwide are heavily investing in low-emission zones or restrictions for internal combustion vehicles. For example, in Paris or London, owners of old vehicles must pay high taxes to enter certain areas. This dynamic could become more widespread by 2025, even in major African cities like Douala or Yaoundé, where urban pollution is becoming a concern. While such measures are not yet common, it's likely they will gain traction over time. The case for vintage vehicles. For fans of classic or collectible cars, the situation is slightly different. These vehicles are often exempt from strict laws due to their historical value. However, specific conditions apply, such as limiting their use to events or exhibitions. While these exceptions are interesting, they only concern a minority of owners. Ordinary cars, on the other hand, will have to keep up with the pace of modern regulatory standards. What should you do? What should you do if you own an old vehicle and want to continue using it in 2025? It all depends on your location, needs, and resources. If you live in a region where environmental laws are not yet strict, it's likely that you can continue using your vehicle without major issues, at least in the short term. However, It would be wise to anticipate ongoing changes by closely monitoring local regulations and market trends, investing in mechanical upgrades, exploring alternative fuels, or considering the purchase of a newer used vehicle are all options worth exploring. In conclusion, 2025 represents a pivotal year for old vehicles. Between stricter environmental standards, technological advancements, and economic changes, the question of their use is becoming increasingly complex. However, by adopting a proactive approach and staying informed about trends, it's entirely possible to find solutions to keep using your car while adapting to the new realities of the market. Keep in mind that each region and situation is unique, so tailor your decisions to your own needs. And above all, stay tuned to GB Automobile 237 for detailed analyses and practical advice on navigating this ever-evolving automotive world.